1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. Happy Friday. Where I am at, it has been like 50 degrees. I mean, getting a little colder at night for February. Where I live, that's incredible. So I took the day off today. I was going to get a few things done, taxes and so forth. And then woke up and it's snowing. And it has not quit snowing. And apparently it's creating quite a mess out there. So it is turned into a day at home and postponing the taxes for a little bit longer. So we got some news going on. This just breaking, okay? So depending on how fast I can get this, video up. But Trump ordered to pay $354 million in New York fraud case. So that's where he claimed his properties were worth X amount to get loans, and he overvalued them, which apparently is 100% normal, and the banks value it themselves anyway. They don't take the word for it of the person applying for the money. And so no harm was done, and he still was just ordered to pay $354 million. And I also see something, he's not allowed to run his family company for 3 years. His company. It's just wild. Like,
Dirty, rotten traitor.
Again, if liberals would just kiss his ass a little bit, he's a New York liberal who loves his country, and which intersects with conservative principles in a lot of ways, but not every way. But he's just not he's not helping y'all out because y'all mean to him. This is just stupid warfare, because over on the other end, down in Georgia, look at this guy. From the post millennial. This is the judge. Come on, people. Like, I know it's not Christian of me to judge a book by its cover, but look at that man. Come on. That's not like, can you believe that there's a judge in the United States that looks like this? So Yahoo News from us, I don't know how it works, but it's from Snopes. This pic supposedly showing Donald and Ivanka Trump on a bed has raised some eyebrows. Of his daughter kissing her father who's on the phone. And it looks to be like for a photo shoot. But there's a photo supposedly showing former U.S. President Donald Trump with his daughter Ivanka as a child posing on a bed has circulated online for years. Critics of the former president have shared it as alleged evidence of him supposedly acting inappropriate toward her. You guys are sick, evil people. It looks like an ad. And if it's not, he's on the phone looking at the camera. Like that looks totally posed. And meanwhile, actual abuse, y'all don't care about. Why don't you spend your damn time looking at some of the horrible things that are happening with people being trafficked into this country and across this country, instead of trash like this? See, you don't care about people. Donald Trump may be an asshole, but I don't think he's evil. I really don't. So a few days ago, RFK Jr. posted, "I'm creating a new political party" video. Now, I have not heard any other stories or any podcast, anyone covering this, or, Reverb. That's kind of how you know how legit some of the things are, I suppose. I don't know. But, I mean, this is from his YouTube, and let's hear what he has to say.
As an independent candidate, my name doesn't automatically appear on the ballot no matter how many millions of people support me in the polls. Party officials wrote our current rules to protect the two-party system. They designed them to prevent independent candidates like me from offering voters an alternative to the failed leaders of the past. And they're especially draconian in states with the most electoral votes, states like California and Texas. This is a quagmire that I will help reform once I'm in office, but for now, my campaign has got to work within the rules and find a way to overcome each of the hurdles that they constructed to keep you from voting freely in November. In many states, the law provides for two methods of getting on the ballot. First, you can do it as an individual candidate, or second, as the nominee of a new party. Each path requires a different number of signatures depending on the state. In most states, it takes fewer signatures to put an individual candidate on the ballot, but in 6 states, the signature threshold is lower to put a new party on the ballot. California, for example, requires 219,000 signatures to put an individual on the ballot, but a new party wins ballot access with only 75,000 party registrations. That's still a big lift for most people, but we already have more than 70,000 supporters signed up in California, and I know we're going to blow their numbers out of the water. That's why our campaign has now filed paperwork for new parties in California, along with Texas, North Carolina, Mississippi, and Delaware, the other states in which this same math holds true. Now, you might be asking, is this a political party in the same way that the Democrats and Republicans are parties? Not even close. Our founders warned us that political parties would become breeding grounds for corruption and corporate cronyism. That's why I chose a name for my party that doesn't even include the word party. It's a name that encompasses all of us out there demanding our country back. I told the bureaucrats to call us We the People. These are the first 3 words in the United States Constitution, and they symbolize that our government draws its power from the citizens. This isn't a party, it's a movement. And it doesn't belong to Washington, it belongs to you. This movement will allow us to stand toe-to-toe with the establishment machine and remind the elite few that America is still governed by the powerful many. The corrupt two-party system has held back our progress. It's failed our families. It's put corporate corruption on steroids. If you want to bring back free choice in our elections, you can go to our website and find out how you can help put my name on the ballot.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Anything to disrupt the system. But after November, when he doesn't come close to winning, is he going to focus on this new party and building that up? That might be a great use of his time. I just wish there's got to be something he could do in the administration. Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be something he could do for Bush, or even Michelle Obama. But I think that may feel differently in the end. So on Twitter here, Chaya Reichik, the woman behind Lives of TikTok, tweeted that it's the House had a resolution condemning rape and sexual violence committed by Hamas in their war with Israel. And Rashida Tlaib is the only one to not condemn it. She voted present. She's a radical. And not just that, though. I mean, it's just, but like, if doing these symbolic things like this was okay, now we know who to get rid of. Now, she'll get voted out, and we'll get somebody more, less America hating in there. That's not going to happen. I mean, not likely. I mean, she's in there because she represents the people of that district who may or may not be assimilating to the values of America real well. I mean, look at it. I mean, it is what it is. Also, she retweeted Shai Reichik. So apparently, the Idaho House passes a bill to give pedophiles the death penalty. And I spoke recently on a podcast about my thoughts on the death penalty. That's something I've gone back and forth with over time. I've always kind of leaned away from it. And I kind of think I have to just take a stance. It's one of the few topics I haven't really been able to decide on. But anyway, point is, I am a Christian. I want people to find God wherever they physically may be. And if they're in a prison cell for 40 years before they get there, but pedophiles, I don't know if it's in them to be able to reject that program. It doesn't seem to be. Because, I mean, could you imagine if we had a society that was really against pedophiles? Or maybe they'd be a little bit more afraid to act. But I just didn't know there was so much evil in the world. The weird sexual stuff in our culture, we can debate or not whether or not that's real actual evil or not. But the fact that how we've loosened things up in our country on what's acceptable, and it has come pouring out. I was like, oh wow, a lot of people are into some weird shit that they kept bottled up. And the more we are not at the end of the path of where this is going. This is not as sexually acceptable and liberal as we're getting in society, or we haven't gone off the cliff yet. Get ready. It's coming. I mean, the more that's acceptable, the more people you realize, oh wow, there's a lot of people into some weird shit. I think guardrails of a society are not a bad idea. Here's a story. This was from like over a week ago, but caught my attention. A rock climber scales massive sphere venue near the Las Vegas Strip to protest abortion. Okay, so I guess this is... It looks to be... This is his thing. He's got a YouTube channel. The Pro-Life Spiderman is what they call him. I wonder if I can find a religious news channel. The Pat McAfee Show. Definitely not.
So far on the Strip, at least since the Sphere has been built, a man scaling up the side of it.
Incredible sight. This is video we caught from our Strat Cam. You can see the outline of him wearing white and black, making his way up the side of the Sphere. Fox 5's Shana Kalafi has more on why the man did it.
This climb today was all a stunt to promote the climber's pro-life cause. We spoke to his publicity team on the ground after he was arrested.
I mean, okay. Do we not hear how fucked up? Do we not hear how messed up that is to the way that's his pro-life cause is not killing babies. His pro-life cause. If that's not your if that's not your cause, what are you doing here? Oh my goodness.
Arrested. They were also detained but then released. They say that that climber's name is Mason Deschamps, known as Pro-Life Spiderman. He was live streaming the climb on social media along with his team on the ground. And they say that Deschamps is a professional climber from Las Vegas. He's also climbed the Aria Hotel back in 2021 for a different cause, and he's done scaling stunts like this around the world. Now, at the same time that this climb was happening this morning, Las Vegas Metro Police were having a press conference on Super Bowl safety, and that's where Sheriff Kevin McMahill addressed the climber and the police response at the Sphere, saying that that climber will be arrested.
We got here about 10 o'clock. It took him really quick. This was probably the quickest climb I've seen him do. He usually takes about an hour. This one, he ascended up in about 15, 20 minutes. Really quick. He doesn't use any ropes, doesn't use any equipment. It's just free solo, and he...
Well, that's crazy. Right on. I suppose you're doing more than I am. I mean, maybe someday I'll have a bigger voice behind this microphone. But right on, man, I guess. That takes some balls. You know, I managed to try to keep my things nice and tight. Not ramble on for an hour. From Not the Bee. Why can't we talk about how the birth control pill is harming women? I'm not a woman. I'm not a doctor. I've heard things. Let's see what this article says. There's no question about it. Hormonal birth control increases the risk of depression, suicidal ideations, and suicide for women. Yet mainstream media outlets such as NBC have labeled myself and other women who speak about this research as alarmist. Why? It seems allowing women to access all of the information about the birth control pill threatens a greater good agenda being pushed. Yeah, could you imagine if that was part of actually sex education? Graphic, gross. I mean, just graphic explanations of, okay, if you're going to do this, if you're going to go this way where you're going to have, free sex, promiscuous sex, randomly having sex, you might want to be on this pill, but here are the negative consequences. So if you don't go around sharing your genitals, then you could find somebody who loves and respects you. You virtually cut the chance of disease completely away. You don't have to deal with the hormonal stuff that birth control is going to put you through. And you get to have life. It's not put like that, is it? You don't want to get burdened with a baby. It starts them early. Let's treat these young girls, these girls, pre-adult girls. Let's get them trained up to be used and abused by men so convincingly that they use and abuse themselves, just like men would want, and call it empowerment. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Like, that's what's so messed up. Like the word feminist, it's like, to me, like, oh my gosh, feminist to me just means a gender terrorist, basically. But I want what's best for women, and what's best for women is best for man. Like we're made for each other, literally made for each other. What's good for them is good for us. Because yes, I know there has been oppression throughout time, and it still exists throughout the world today. It's unfortunate, but it's wrong because we clearly need each other. The Bible, when people try to claim that it's a book on oppression for women, is like so ridiculous. They clearly haven't read any of it aside from Eve getting blamed for the downfall of man. But further reading closer of the scripture, you see that first off, well, she hadn't even been created when God told Adam not to eat from it, so we don't know if Adam communicated the message or not. And Adam was the coward who, once he did eat and God asked him what was up, he blamed God and Eve for what he did. So, and then you go to Abraham and Sarah. I mean, Abraham was cowardly several times. I mean, there's no indication in that story that Sarah didn't run that household. Like, and then Mary Magdalene, the one that they like to say was a whore for some reason in the Bible. Maybe not, but there's no indication that that is the case. Her and Mother Mary, they found Jesus. So yeah, the Bible had scandalous women too, but it had heroic women. I don't... Saying otherwise is absolutely ridiculous. It is a very fair book from everything I've read. I haven't read it all. Shame to say. I am ashamed to say. I've read all the New Testament and a fair part of the Old, but a little bit bigger. But anyway, I'll clean up that rambling I just went on. It's a shame what the government has allowed Big Pharma to do to us, because I know there are real cures out there. I believe in medicine. I believe in the miracle. God allowed for us to create medicine to help one another. But it's certainly not all like that. And a lot of it's poison and changing us into something we're not. Every feeling has a pill, and you get a prescription for every emotion you have, and it kind of just makes me think. So, just going back to Eve and what she did. Okay, now, if you believe in God or not, like, this is kind of profound. Okay? And understand the sequence, like, this is kind of the sequencing of the Bible, or obviously the Bible is many different books jotted down by different people, chosen by God over the years, but then put together. I mean, then there was the way they chose the books, there was a reason for it. They had a rationale. There was, like, when you say the lost books of the Bible, they took them out. Well, they took them out because there wasn't, like, there was evidence to show that it was written far, far later. It had no connection. There was a study to it. But anyway, how things are connected in the Bible. So this is Genesis. So very, very early in the Bible. Very beginning. Genesis 3. Okay. I wanted to find a different version. Now the serpent was the most cunning of all the wild animals that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat the fruit from the trees in the garden, but what about the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden? God said you must not eat or touch it, or you will die." "No, you will certainly not die," the serpent said. "In fact, God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." The woman saw that the tree was good for food and delightful to look at, and that it was desirable for obtaining wisdom. So she took some of its fruit and ate it, and she also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Well, women will do things for the survival of their children, and that's what makes women so great. So we don't know. I mean, like, even from this was the Garden of Eden, so I'm sure food was aplenty, but maybe she was doing so to protect little Cain and Abel at this point. We don't know how far in the story this happened. Many, many years later, when they got to writing the New Testament and recording what happened, because that's what the Gospels are, and there's a lot of evidence for it. The very beginning of the Bible says, no, God doesn't want you to know what he knows, to be able to distinguish good and evil. So the devil said that God didn't want us to see things for how they are. They don't want us to see, to know God, to be that. In fact, God knows that when you eat, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing God and evil. Remember when Jesus started his ministry and was with the devil and he was starving and he's like, hey, make those rocks bread. It's kind of like God sent Jesus to prove this wrong. This verse here, wrong. Like, no, actually, I do want you to be like me. And here's your example. Since you've been screwing it up the entire time, here's your example. And learn from there. And still a lot of people miss it. Oh, I've been going on.
There's a modern feminist interpretation of the story of Adam and Eve that makes the claim that Eve was portrayed as the universal bad guy of humanity for disobeying God and eating the apple. It's like, fair enough, looks like she slipped up, and then she tempted her husband, and that makes her even worse, although he was foolish enough to immediately eat, so it just means she was a little more courageous than him and got there first. But it's Adam who comes across as really one sad creature in this story, as far as I'm concerned. Look at what he manages in one sentence. It's like, first of all, it wasn't him, it was the woman. And second, he even blames God.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Jordan Peterson, everybody. His views on the Bible are just so eye-opening to me, and he's really identified what he is, and I can't ever expect that he would be a Christian like myself. But just his perspective on it is deep in my relationship for sure, with the text, and because there is so much there. It is so deep.
There is more than one creation story in Genesis, and in this story, males and females are basically created at the same time. Later, Eve is extracted out of Adam, and we'll talk about that, but not here. It's the two sexes are generated simultaneously, and they both carry within them the divine stamp, which is very egalitarian and very appropriate, and I think unbelievably advanced. That's what it looks like to me. There is more than one creation story in Genesis, and in this story, males and females are basically created at the same time. Later, Eve is extracted out of Adam, and we'll talk about that, but not here. It's the two sexes are generated simultaneously, and they both carry within them the divine stamp, which is very egalitarian and very appropriate, and I think unbelievably advanced. That's what it looks like to me.
Jordan Peterson, everybody. I kind of got lost. I'm not even sure if I made the point I wanted to make when I went on that, but everyone, enjoy your Friday. Be careful out there. It is still snowing here. We are getting a blizzard out of nowhere in St. Louis. So, have a great weekend, folks. I'll see you.
That's not the point. Goodbye, I'll miss you. Goodbye. I will never forget you.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!